Hi there, this is Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a Social Security disability attorney, and today I'd like to talk to you about what I consider to be the top 7 ways that you can improve your chances of getting approved for Social Security disability. And basically, these are the things that if I had a close friend or relative, I would tell that person at the time that person applied or even before they applied, and I want to let you know that as well so that you can improve your chances. It's a very challenging environment right now. Approval rates are down nationally and in almost every local hearing office, and so you want to give yourself every edge you possibly can. So here are my 7 top tips. Number 1 is, and this is really important, probably the most important, is confirm that you have support from your doctor. And what I mean by that is you want to ask your doctor, will he fill out a form? Does he or she support your contention that you're not able to work? Will the doctor go on record to talk about work activity limitations, things like sitting and standing and lifting and focusing and concentrating and reliability factors, getting through the day without excessive interruptions or not missing too many days from work. And these reliability factors are really key, and if your doctor will go on record to help you, you stand a much, much better chance at getting approved. So getting support from your doctor is a big number 1. Number 2 is eliminate those red flags that will hurt almost every single case. By red flags, I mean things like any type of suggestion or evidence of drug-seeking behavior, use of alcohol as a sort of a substitute for medications, using somebody else's medications, gaps in your medical treatment. And again, you want to show an ongoing treatment record, but if you have a 6 or 8 month gap, that's a problem. That's something you can do something about. I think part-time work is another red flag, and it shouldn't be, but it is. If you're working part-time, that's going to make it more difficult to get approved for disability. So those red flags, you want to try to get rid of those things, and even if it means you've got to spend a few more months trying to work or working on getting your medical record more complete, then that's what you need to focus on. You may need to have to be prepared to sacrifice some of the past due benefits to get past that period where you have those red flags there. So get rid of the red flags. Number 3 is to really understand the big picture of what you're trying to prove to Social Security. And as I've discussed on previous videos, the big picture in a disability case is whether or not your medical issue creates an impairment as to your capacity for work. This is not about medical issues. This is about how those medical issues impact your capacity to work. And you need to keep that work focus in mind, or that work impairment focus in mind. And that's true whenever you're filling out any form for Social Security, when you're talking to a Social Security doctor, when you're talking to Social Security, and certainly when you're talking to a judge. You want to really focus on work capacity and not get hung up on your medical treatment or what the doctor says is wrong with you. What can you tell us about how your medical issue impacts your capacity for work? I think you need to, as a number 4, talk in specifics. You want to stay away from things like not very far, not very long. You want to give specific information about your capacity. I can lift 7 pounds. I can walk 100 yards. I can sit for 15 minutes. Then I need to take a 7-minute break where I need to walk around away from the work site, and I can come back and sit 15 minutes, but I can sit for no more than 90 minutes during the course of a day. That's how specific you need to be. So eliminate from your vocabulary not very much, not very long, not very far. Those terms don't mean anything. And if you use them in front of a judge, the judge is not going to be able to use it in any way to ask questions of the vocational witness. So stay away from the generalities. Understand and study to a certain degree the 3 arguments that you would need to prove disability. Those arguments are, do I meet a listing? Number 2 is, do I meet a grid rule? Number 3 is my functional capacity, has it been so eroded by my medical issues that I would not be a reliable employee? And those are the 3 theories of disability, arguments for disability. You need to know them, understand what they are. That's something to discuss with your lawyer and know which ones apply in your case. Your case may not be a listing level case. You may not be qualified for the grid rules. You need to know that ahead of time so that when you present your argument, you and your attorney, you know what you're trying to argue and the theory of disability you're working at. I know it sounds a little bit up in the air and very kind of airy in terms of theory and all that stuff. But you need to understand what these different theories are so you can properly present them when you go in front of the judge. Number 6, if you're denied, you need to not give up. You need to appeal. You have 60 days to appeal from the date you receive your denial notice. And note I said receive the denial notice, not the date on the denial notice. It's presumed you have about 5 days that it's going to take to get you there. However, there have been times when denial notices are mailed a week or two after the date on the actual denial. So take a close look at the date on the denial, save the envelopes, and make sure you get that appeal in early. There's no harm in getting the appeal in early, and I would tell you that if at all possible, get your appeal in sooner rather than later. Don't wait until day 59 or 58, because again, if it was mailed late, you may miss the deadline and not even know it. So get that appeal in early, and if you do notice that you received the denial, more than 60 days after the date on the actual notice, you need to talk to an attorney about that. I've had that happen a couple of times, and sometimes we can get it fixed, sometimes we can't, but don't assume that just because you got the denial notice at a certain date that's when the 60 days start. It probably does, but it may not. So that's something to be pay attention to, and again, make sure you appeal within 60 days. And the final tip, number 7, would be present yourself to Social Security as a fighter, not somebody who has decided, hey, I'm disabled, pay me. That you don't want to be here. This is a last resort. You're only here because you have to be. You don't like the idea of being quote unquote disabled, and if you could get better, you'd go back to work in a heartbeat. It's rewarding to you. It's financially rewarding to you. It's emotionally rewarding, and you want to really explain to Social Security that you're only here because you have to be here. And that attitude, not having an attitude of entitlement, but having an attitude that you want to be a worker, goes a long way, because judges really can see through when people have this attitude of entitlement and make it more likely your case is going to get denied. So you want to show that you're trying to work, and that may take the form of unsuccessful work attempts or efforts to try to go back to school or do something. And again, you need to talk to your attorney about how long you can and should do that type of thing, and the difference between an unsuccessful work attempt and part-time work or a successful work attempt. These all have very specific terms, but big picture, you want to present yourself as a fighter. So those are my 7 tips for improving your shot at winning disability benefits. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube or a like on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. And if I can answer any questions for you, please reach out to me. Thank you very much.